Alastair Campbell was Director of Communications for Tony Blair during his time at Number 10 and joined us now from our Glasgow studio. Morning, Alastair.
Hello.
You know exactly what it's like to be part of that sort of inner circle inside government when things don't always go according to plan. Can you just give us an idea what the last few days will have been like for Theresa May and her team?
Well, if you do something as big as calling a general election where you think you're going to get a landslide and then you don't even get a majority, then that is, by any stretch of the imagination, a sense of complete failure. And actually, I don't think there are real comparisons to be made between our operation and Theresa May's operation. Because one, I think we were competent. Two, we reached out to the PLP, to the Labour MPs. We made sure that the whole government at least felt part of what we were doing. This isn't about Nick Timothy and Fiona Hill. This is about Theresa May. Theresa May ran the Home Office with this very, very tight coterie, and you can just about do that in a department. Once you become the Prime Minister and you're dealing with everything that affects this country, you cannot run the country like this. You cannot run the government like this. And so I just think, and even what's happened since this election has underlined some of the extraordinary weaknesses in Theresa May as a leader. I mean, her statement outside Downing Street was just incredible. There's Gavin Barwell saying that we're going to listen and learn. They're not listening and they're not learning. And if she seriously thinks that by getting rid of two people that most of the public have never even heard of, that's somehow going to save her, she's living in La La Land.
But Nick Timothy and Fiona Hill, you say it's not about them, but they did become part of the story. And that sentiment that is so often attributed to you, that if you become part of the story, it's time to get out of it. You'll know what it's like to have been part of, as an unelected figure inside government, someone very close to a Prime Minister, but someone who also did get some people's backs up. You'll understand that feeling.
Here's the thing. What I didn't do, I got the backs up of the media, for sure. But within the government, this is about the government. So these people have got in and they've kind of gone out of their way, with Theresa May's backing, with her permission, basically to try and bully and intimidate the civil service. You can't govern without the civil service being on side. You have to work with them. And now they've gone straight into this absolute, honestly, this DUP thing. She has no idea what she is playing with here. One of John Major's greatest achievements was laying the foundations for the Good Friday Agreement. John Major, even when he was weak and was looking for numbers to get his stuff through Parliament, he didn't even contemplate doing this because he knew it was playing with fire within the politics of Northern Ireland.
I have to say she has no idea. The Conservative Party has been in negotiations with the DUP for many years.
No, hold on a minute.
In the likelihood, well, if I can just finish the question, in the likelihood of an event like this coming up. Now, they know full well what the DUP is all about. There is also a chance, and this is what the DUP and its supporters are saying, there is also a chance that the DUP will say, we have the interests of the entire area of Northern Ireland at heart, and we're going to go for what might be termed a slightly softer Brexit in order to protect the interests of the entire people of Northern Ireland.
Listen, just put to one side, I know it's difficult, but all this stuff about their social conservatism, which most people in Great Britain find pretty difficult to deal with, just park that for a minute. This is about the role of the government in the Northern Ireland peace process. When the peace process is in trouble, as it is at the moment with the administration not operating, the British and Irish governments are the mediators between the Unionists and the Nationalists. How can they be the mediator when the Unionists are now being brought into government? They have not thought this through. And that is playing with fire. So this is a Prime Minister. She's already tried, I think she's going to fail because I think hard Brexit is dead in the water. She's already tried to destroy Margaret Thatcher's greatest achievement, which is the single market.
Okay.
She's now, if she's not careful, she's going to destroy the one thing that John Major and Tony Blair did, which is bring peace to Northern Ireland.
Just watching, sorry, just to interrupt, pictures of her going into church this morning. So for her, it's carry on.
She needs help from above, I'm telling you that.
It's carry on as normal. Well, if you were sitting on that little cloud, how would you be advising her?
I don't know. I don't know. Look, what has been exposed? She called this election because she thought Labour were weak and she thought that she was going to get a landslide. What an election designed to expose Labour's weaknesses has profoundly exposed hers. And the country has realised she's not a Prime Minister. And what's more, they've also realised, I mean, when I watched your news bulletin, seriously, is this country seriously thinking about going from this to Boris Johnson? I mean, it's... Do you know what? I was speaking to a politician in Germany yesterday. He said Britain is doing a very good job of presenting itself as the world. Wait a minute, let me finish. As the world's first world failed state. We're becoming a joke, and we're becoming a joke because every single step of the way, a Conservative Prime Minister, David Cameron with his stupid referendum, Theresa May now, it's been all about their own survival, and they are not putting the country first. And when they start doing that for the peace process in Northern Ireland, it's a disgrace. And you people, stop talking about the trivia on this, get into the real stuff.
Well, I'm trying to work out exactly what the answer is, what the future is. So if you're saying it's not Theresa May, is it Jeremy Corbyn? Let's have a little look at things that you've said about him in the past, and I'm sure some of these have already been brought to your attention by now.
Sure, they will be.
Here we go. So everything I've seen of both the leadership of Labour tells me Corbyn's ability to lead and hold the party together is likely to be low. If he wins, Corbyn mania will evaporate even more quickly than Clegg mania did. With Corbyn, I'm afraid I can see the only route to defeat, and much worse. I wish it wasn't so, but it is. He's never, ever going to be elected Prime Minister. It's a catastrophe, heading off a cliff. He's not the man to unite Labour. Were you wrong?
Look, can I just make one point? The Labour Party has not won. And what you have to take out of this election is that the British public have said, as things stand, we don't want either of you. Now, Jeremy Corbyn, as I acknowledged on Question Time the other night, had a very, very good campaign, and a lot of people have underestimated him. But we are still not in power. And what we've got to do, we've got to see less of the celebration and more now of actually showing the plans that Labour Party would have for power. And I'll tell you one thing, Jeremy, I know he's on the Mar programme later, and I hope that Andrew really tries to get him to push on Brexit and to say on Brexit that actually he can now step into a leadership role, and then we'll see. I'm not going to pretend that I've gone from being a total sceptic to a total supporter, because I'm going to say what I think. I still think the public have got big reservations about Labour. The Labour Party now has to try to get over those.
To try to work out what you think the best thing for the country would be right now, would it be another general election?
Look, I think the best thing for the country, I know this is very, very difficult, the best thing for the country, in my view, because let's just get to the nub of what is causing this utter chaos. She goes on about the coalition of chaos. What is causing it is the fundamental divisions in the country that have been exposed and triggered by the referendum, the European referendum. And I actually think if the politicians of all parties could somehow work out a way of let's just park that for a bit. Let's try to work out a way forward on that. And I hope that Jeremy Corbyn, actually, because Theresa May, she hasn't got the capacity, politically or psychologically, to do what she needs to do now. And I hope Jeremy Corbyn actually can say, listen, I will go and talk to the Lib Dems, I will go and talk to the SNP, I will go and try and work out whether there's a way of actually taking the June 23rd referendum and doing something very, very different to what Theresa May has tried to do. Because Theresa May, part of what was rejected in this election is her interpretation of that referendum.
And in terms of Jeremy Corbyn's leadership of the Labour Party, we've seen the likes of Angela Eagle, Yvette Cooper, Lucy Powell and so on, the Corbyn doubters, do their own little U-turns on him, saying that now they think that he is the man who can lead the party. In a sense, abandoning their principles in favour of popularity. Is that pure cynicism or pragmatism by politicians? How do you read it?
Look, it's very, very difficult if you're an MP. And let me just throw another little thing into the mix here. Jeremy Corbyn had a good campaign, and I'm not going to take anything from that away from him. But there were also seats that Labour won. I mean, for example, Kensington and Chelsea, that wasn't just about Jeremy Corbyn, that was about Brexit. People like Ben Bradshaw, Peter Kyle, Stella Creasy, Phil Wilson up in Sedgefield, these are people who fought very, very personalised local campaigns. What has got to happen now for the Labour Party is that we've got to stop all this kind of, divisional stuff, and I don't like him and he doesn't like me, and, I know I'll get out the studio and I'll have all the Corbynistas all the time, blah, 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 red Tory, Blairite scum, blah, blah, blah. Stop all that stuff, both ways. The Labour Party will only get back into power.
You added to all that hurly-burly, Alastair Campbell.
No, listen, wait a minute, because I believe in saying what I think. And I've said, I think Jeremy Corbyn had a very good campaign.
Exactly the same thing, though, with all these people you're referring to. But anyway, carry on.
No, you're deliberately missing my point. We will not win. We did not win this election. We will not win an election unless a very broad coalition of support in the country gets built.
OK.
And the way to build that is to reach outwards, not inwards. And the lesson from Theresa May is if you go for closed leadership, the way that she's done in the modern age, you have had it. And I'm sorry, Theresa May, you can pray to God in that church right now. You have had it.
Alastair Campbell, thank you for your time.
Thank you.